Hi, my name is Emma Vallin. I'm a leadership consultant and executive coach. And I regularly meet CEOs of all size companies who tell me that, we have the same talent as our competitors. We have, the same technology, even better technology, yet we're constantly being outperformed. Now, decades of research tells us that the highest performing teams aren't the ones with the smartest people or the leanest processes. It's the ones who have figured out the human layer of collaboration. In fact, an MIT study suggests that 40% of performance variation comes down to team dynamics. And yet that's the least managed part of our organizations. Now here's the blind spot in team management. We're great at managing tasks, and we're terrible at managing how people work together. Think about it. We spend hours and hours and hours designing policies and processes and structures. Let's admit it, most companies have great org charts, but we spend almost no time designing how we interact and speak to each other. And the result? 65% of employees say that they have withheld information and ideas because they didn't feel safe to speak up. Now, that's not just a cultural issue. It's basically an innovation drain. Now, KPIs measure what gets done, but they're quite silent on how this gets done. And I've seen teams that hit every target and deliver on every deadline, but at the same time burn out. And success that is based on fear, and particularly fear of failure, just isn't sustainable. And data shows that teams with high psychological safety, they innovate 3 times more, they retain top talent twice as long, and they respond to crises 40% faster. Now, why is that, I hear you ask? Well, it's simply because they don't waste any energy on office politics or covering up mistakes. All of their brain power goes into solving ideas and getting the work done. The financial cost is also staggering. Gallup estimates that disengaged employees cost the global economy $8.8 trillion annually in lost productivity. But the real cost is all those projects that just never happened, or the ideas that people never shared, and the talent that walked out the door. All because we failed to address the how we collaborate. Now, when I work with companies to build psychological safety, I often bring up the case study of Pixar. Now, Pixar is, of course, a company that does animated films, particularly for children. You might know Toy Stories or Cars. And they had 19 consecutive blockbusters a while back. And this is basically unheard of because it's an incredibly competitive industry. And their secret was that they had found a way and designed a way to have radical candor and to criticize and critique projects in a structured way. And they called this process brain trusts. And it was basically a formalized way to critique projects and ideas. And these weren't just good feel-good policies. These were actually performance accelerator. And they created that openness and trust that team needs to perform at their best, particularly in this day and age. And the consequences of companies getting this wrong can be astronomical. The cost can be astronomical. A client I worked with, they traced back a 6 month delay in a project to one moment. And that moment was when a junior analyst had found an error, but was too afraid to speak up. Now, this analyst was afraid because previously he had seen colleagues speak up or bring negative news that perhaps delayed things and been punished for it. Now, that $250,000 mistake could have been avoided with a 5-minute conversation with this analyst, if the culture had allowed it. Now, I'm really looking forward to being part of this training program that starts in October. There's also an incredible lineup of speakers and tutors, and we will equip you with the skills and the insights that you need to lead effective teams. Teams where the best ideas win, where top talent stays and thrives. And I really hope to see you there in Tallinn so we can work on your specific leadership challenges or team challenges. Until then.